Welcome. I appreciate everybody coming today. I am not sick, I don't need help. This is going to be a short, informative talk about the LEAP Foundation. LEAP Foundation, there's a lot of information on this page, but I want to highlight a few things. It was founded in 2017 by Dr. Xavier Amador, Greg Adams, and Maria Amador, his wife. And Dr. Amador had worked with Aaron Beck, and they've formulated to use the LEAP Foundation. It is a specific means of communicating with individuals with severe mental illnesses. And the LEAP Foundation works to advocate for individuals with severe mental disorders, such as schizophrenia, bipolar, that sort of thing. And I would like to point out down at the bottom some of the things that they're doing. One thing is that they have courses, obviously in LEAP, which is what we're talking about now, but they also have an anosognosia awareness campaign, which we'll talk about a little bit. And they also have a network of professionals, of individuals who have been trained in LEAP, who can talk and use the LEAP tools and to work with these types of individuals. So the other thing that I would mention about the LEAP Foundation is that mainly it's just anyone who is involved in the LEAP Foundation has gotten involved with it because they know somebody who's been touched. They're a service provider, they're a family member, they're an individual who's been touched by serious mental illness. And I think that's what makes this powerful. So let's get into it. Anosognosia is, the definition of anosognosia is having an unawareness of one's mental health concern. This has been shown that individuals, they don't recognize that they have a mental illness, but it's not so much that it's denial, it's that their brain literally cannot grasp that they have the condition. I think this is really important to point out because a lot of people feel that individuals with schizophrenia and bipolar, that they're in denial. And we just need to tell them and they need to come to the realization. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of individuals with these severe mental health disorders, they can't. Like they literally cannot come to that awareness no matter what information is presented to them. And I want to take a moment to illustrate what anosognosia feels like. For this, I would need a volunteer. All right, and what is your name?
Nicole.
Nicole, are you married?
Yes.
And what is your spouse's name?
Jason.
Do you have any children?
No.
Okay. Where do you work?
Private practice, ThriveWorks.
And who is your direct supervisor?
Robert Devereaux.
And you believe that you've come here to hear a presentation about the LEAP, is that true?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have to tell you that that is not the case. Your supervisor, Robert, has talked with me, and this is an intervention. He's asked me to come here and talk with you because he appreciates the work that you do at ThriveWorks. That's not an issue. The problem is that you believe you are in fact married to Jason. Is this correct?
Yes.
You're not married to Jason. In fact, Jason and his wonderful wife, they're tired of you coming around and harassing them. They don't want to get the legal system involved, but your supervisor, Robert, recognizes that you need to get help. So what we're going to do now is I need you to gather your belongings, and I need you to exit the room. Now, we have, Robert has arranged for you to have a 6-month medical leave of absence. We have arranged for individuals to transport you to Peninsula Hospital, where you will receive the best care possible and being able to get you better, and so that you will be able to no longer have these delusions and believe that you are married to Jason. So, I need you to get your stuff. Go ahead and stand up.
I don't want to.
Well, we cannot force you to do anything, but you can't stay here. We would like you to go to the hospital, but obviously you are under your own power and can make your own decisions. Do you decide to go to the hospital or not?
No. Pass.
All right. So you don't go to the hospital, but you have to go somewhere. You can't stay here. So where do you go?
To my husband Jason's.
So you go to the house where you believe that you're married. And what happens when she goes to the house and with these restraining orders in place?
They're gonna haul her off, whether she wants to go or not.
Cops get involved. Cops come, they arrest you, take you to jail. You're in jail, you're brought before court. The judge says, Nicole, I see here that there have been restraining orders filed for Jason and his wonderful wife against you, that you're not to be within 1 mile of their location. You have violated the restraining orders. As such, they don't want to press charges. They just want you to get the help you need. So, I am going to give you the choice to either get treatment, so you go to the hospital and submit to treatment, and we'll come back in 6 months and review the treatment that you've had and how well that you've submitted to that treatment. The other choice is go to jail, brought before the court, and we have a real trial. And then we decide what your charges are going to be for your violation of the restraining order. What is your decision?
I'll go to the hospital.
All right, so Nicole goes to the hospital. She gets in there, and the one of the nurses, who's in charge of giving medications, comes for you. Says, Nicole, the doctor has prescribed you several medications. We have an anti-anxiety medication. We have a couple antipsychotics to help with the delusions. I have in this cup the medications. Do you take these medications?
I don't know anything about those medications. I don't want to take those.
Well, it looks like we've got some Abilify, and we've got anti-anxiety medication. Are you willing to take them? I've got a lot of clients. If you're not going to be willing to take them, I'm going to move on.
Not psychotic.
So you're not going to take them. All right, so let's fast forward now. Nicole doesn't take her medications. She's not compliant with treatment. So the hospital eventually is going to discharge her. And eventually that 6 months is going to be up. She's going to be brought back before the judge. The judge is going to say, looks like you were non-compliant with treatment. What do you have to say for yourself? Have you learned anything in these 6 months?
Well, hospitals are dumb. They were not helpful.
The hospital, this court, has done everything that we can to help you. And you have not complied. At this point, it is not in this court's interest to have you of your own free will. And what happens at that point? I mean, she goes before the judge makes his ruling. So let me step back into the role of the judge. Let me ask you, it's been 6 months, you've been told over and over again that you were in fact not married to Jason. Several times, by the hospital, by me, the judge, by several of the staff members, and yet here we stand. So let me ask you, do you still believe that you're married to Jason?
Yes. I was at the wedding. I should know.
Everybody has told you that that's a hallucination. It's a lie. Delusion. Why don't you believe them? Professionals have told you that you're not married.
They haven't gotten to know me. They've just told me what to do. I don't want to do what they say.
So I'm going to step back now. And it's a little bit uncomfortable being in those roles just because that's not LEAP. And I don't want you guys to think that that is LEAP. So it's a little uncomfortable being in that position. I'd like to debrief and ask you a few questions, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel being put on the spot? How did it feel being in this position that you kept being put in?
Super invalidating.
And it is invalidating because
It's invalidating because the hospital tried to rush through why I should take certain medications and didn't actually explain to me how they're going to help me. I don't believe that I'm mentally ill, and I don't think that anybody got to know me long enough. I just listened to what some court said, and the court doesn't know me either.
they didn't know the truth,
No.
but you did.
Only
Yet
me.
no one would believe you or listen to you.
Mhm.
How did it feel being put in all those different places? I mean, invalidating, but anything else?
I mean, it was scary. Like, I didn't have the chance to pack what I wanted to pack, or, my boss didn't come talk to me directly about anything, and I just had to go somewhere where I don't know anybody, and they don't know anything about me, and I don't like it.
I really appreciate you being willing to share that and being the volunteer. I appreciate you and your participation. Would you be okay if I asked the other individuals in the room what their experience was like?
Sure.
So what was it like listening and seeing this interaction?
I wanted to stand up and try to stick up for her. It felt like nobody was even caring at all about her perception of anything.
It's a lot of bias, and I felt like she was being bullied.
So you sitting there, how did that affect you? How did that make you feel?
It just made me uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
just didn't really enjoy watching that.
I think that's a good way to summarize it. It makes you feel uncomfortable, and it's not fun to watch. Anything else
It
about your
hurt, I
experience?
think. It really hurt deep.
Yeah.
That her life, her reality, and
Yeah.
nobody really cared.
They just kept moving it along.
Right.
I'd like to transition and get into what LEAP is now. That was not LEAP. LEAP is an acronym, and it stands for Listen, Empathize, Agree, Partner. We're going to talk about the first one, listen. As people, we develop tools on how we interact with individuals, and we use them every day. We listen, we communicate, in developing LEAP, we're working with a specific group of individuals that those tools might not necessarily work. And so we teach 7 specific tools that you can put in your tool belt to work with individuals with severe mental illness that may have anosognosia. The first one is listen. Reflectively. So what does it mean to listen reflectively?
Well, to really hear what the person is saying, so rather than trying to rush through with your own agenda, like, repeat back what they're saying.
Okay. So repeat back to me what they're saying. Really listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Try to understand their perspective.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, reflective listening is just that, being able to summarize, bring back what they say and give it back to the individual. So if I were to say my favorite colors are blue and green, reflect that back to me. Anyone?
Why are blue and green your favorite colors?
So I want you to reflect it back to me. So that's a question. So that adds something. So I just want you to reflect it.
Your favorite colors are blue and green.
Fantastic.
Oh.
So I want to go over. Let's practice this. Let's practice this reflective listening. I'm going to read you something, and I want you to come back and reflect it to me. So, can I have a volunteer? Someone who hasn't volunteered yet. Sure. All right. Not mentally ill, and I don't need these damn medications. If you want to help me, you can help me with the people upstairs. They're flushing the toilet to communicate with the people who are trying to kill me.
So you don't need these medications. Oh gosh.
And it's difficult. Thank you. I appreciate it. Can I have another volunteer? And before we go to that, there's things that we often do when we listen that don't work in reflective listening. So, and your name was?
Jason.
Jason. So you were able to start it out, but you admitted that first part. Let's so can I have another volunteer? I guess that would be you. I'm gonna say it back to you, and I'm gonna slow it down a little bit because that first time's pretty quick and it's hard to pick up. So I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. I'm not mentally ill, and I don't need these damn medications. If you can help me with anything, you can help me with the people upstairs who are trying to kill me, who are trying to communicate with the people trying to kill me.
Bryce, you are not mentally ill. And I am going to walk upstairs right now and talk with these people.
All right,
Would you
I'm
like to go?
gonna stop you there. I appreciate. Thank you for volunteering, and thank you for showing us one of the things that we do, which is reacting. I just want you to reflectively listen. So we'll try it again. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to slow it down even a little bit more. I'm not mentally ill, and I don't need these damn medications. If you could help me with anything, you could help me with the people upstairs who are flushing the toilet to communicate with the people who are trying to kill me.
I want to make sure that I have this correct. So, you're not mentally ill, you don't need your medications, and that the people upstairs are the people you need help with, and they are flushing the toilet to communicate with the people who are trying to kill you.
Fantastic. So I want to point out there that, did she omit anything?
No.
Was there a reaction? Did she rush to empathy? So when you reflectively listen, nail it. Now usually it takes a group, which we have a smaller group, but often we do these talks with 50, 100, 200 people, and it takes upwards of 17 times before someone can get it right. The human mind can retain 7 pieces of individual information. So this one had 5. I'm not mentally ill. I don't need the medications. You can help me. People upstairs who are flushing the toilet to communicate with people trying to kill me. The one thing I do want to point out is that some of these things are not necessarily bad, like reacting or rushing to empathy, but it's not reflective listening. So when you reflectively listen, you just give them back what they tell you. So that is the end of the presentation. I really appreciate everybody's willingness to participate and help out. And if you have any questions, feel free to stay after and ask them.